hey, we're going to do an unboxing. But not just any unboxing, it's a very special unboxing. We are going to be unboxing a piece of wrestling history that not many people these days know about, and if they do, it's not talked about hardly enough. In this particular box right here lies one of the most, I would say, strangest, but also coolest pieces of wrestling history. And if you've seen the title and the thumbnail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Without further ado, let's get this thing out. This is going to be my actual first time looking at the belt, so let's do this. It's a lot of packing paper. I see it. It's huge for some reason. It's massive. Let's get this thing out, this sucker. Oh my goodness. And we've got it. This is the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Now you might be wondering, why get a replica of the Light Heavyweight Championship? Out of all of the WWF titles to get a belt of, why this? Why this obscure weight division belt from the 1990s and the early 2000s? Something about this particular title has always scratched an itch in my brain. And I figured that since I was going to be getting this championship, I wanted to shoot a very special review and honestly, a history of this belt short form. So this is a Wrestling Explained type review. We're going to be taking a look at this first of all, from the perspective of the look of it and the craftsmanship of it, but then we're going to look at what is the history of the World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight Championship. But first off, let's review the Light Heavyweight Championship. All right, so here is the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship replica title. Now this is not a mass-produced item. I got this for a very good price. I just wanted the belt, but this is a good time to look at the actual design of the championship. So you see this shape here is very interesting. It's not like any shape they've had in a long time. It kind of looks like the revived US title from 2003. I think they took some design cues from it, but it sort of has, that little lip at the top. It's got the, all these curves and points. It's a very actually old school looking championship compared to what they were doing at the time. As far as the side plates, they look kind of like badges or shields. And of course they contain that iconic scratch logo. Now when the belt debuted, it didn't look like this. It had a red strap and the classic WWF logo, the old block logo. And that's the belt that they had for a long time. But this is sort of the ending era belt. This is when guys like Dean Malenko and Jerry Lynn and X-Pac, S.A. Rios, all those type of people held this championship belt, which we're going to get into that in the history section. But let's talk about the quality. The quality is pretty good for what it is and what I got for it. The strap, I will say, is very stiff. I think it just needs to be broken in. But overall, this is very good quality for something that was produced not by a major company. Actually having the belt up close, it looks even better than it does in the video games and the pictures. I really like the shape and design of this championship, and I really think that companies should use this type of style belt more often. I think it just looks pretty classy. I guess we can look at the back here. Back's just sort of standard back plate, all the screws are contained back there. Nothing really special back here. But yes, this is the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. It's so cool. It's so cool to have this. All right, enough babbling here. Let's go to the history section. We've done the review segment on the Light Heavyweight Championship. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? But I guess now it's time to get to a very interesting part of this championship belt, and that is its history. Now, this belt was officially created in 1997. But actually, if you want to get technical, the World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight Championship was actually created even farther back than that. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm gonna try to explain this in a very brief way. So, the World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight Championship actually began its life on March the 26th of 1981. It was created for the Universal Wrestling Association in Japan. And from there, as time went on, the World Wrestling Federation actually forgot about the belt And it just sort of became a Japanese belt that was defended everywhere until in about 1994 or 5 it came to New Japan Pro Wrestling, where it was a part of a very legendary set of championship belts. Of course, the J Crown. If you've seen Ultimo Dragon carry, 7 or 8 of those belts at one time, one of those belts was the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Now, around the time that the J Crown is being shown and is actually appearing on WCW TV, the WWF does not have an equivalent of the high-flying action that a junior heavyweight belt would ever possess. As a matter of fact, WCW is already doing that in the form of their Cruiserweight Championship. So they decide they're going to create a light heavyweight championship to be sort of a Cruiserweight Championship adjacent belt. And then they remember that they actually sent out the World Wrestling Federation Light Heavyweight Championship back in the 80s, and they never got it back. And not only that, it was appearing on WCW television, so a whole thing ensues. They get that belt back, but they decide we're going to make a new one, and that's this. And their movement to bring in these sort of lighter heavyweight stars to fill this division, at first it starts out very strong because they find, in my opinion, the guy that personifies this championship belt more than anybody else on the first go, and that's Taka Michinoku.
Taka is coming, motherfucker.
Taka Michinoku in the 1990s was a marvel in the ring, and he was destined to become the first light heavyweight champion. But that wasn't all that this division had. Now, this division, I think they tried it first, but they didn't have as much energy about it as WCW did because they had Brian Christopher, who's the son of Jerry Lawler.
That criminal, you that good.
They had a lot of Mexican stars.
You here on Raw and a springboard. Look at this! Tremendous maneuver by this young superstar.
They had Scott Putski, who is clearly not a light heavyweight, but he is in fact there. And this all takes place, over the course of 1997 until Taka Michinoku would defeat Brian Christopher to become the first light heavyweight champion.
Right into the canvas. Michinoku driver! No driver! Michinoku driver! 1, 2! It's over! Taka's a champion! Taka has won it!
Now from here, the belt, much like a lot of things back then, and even right now in the WWE, they go forgotten. Now this belt is shown on TV, it is defended on TV, but it's not given the respect it should basically have gotten. And after Taka, a lot of people would hold this championship belt. I can think of course, Christian.
It's Christian!
And Christian was defeated by Gilbert. And after that, guys like S.A. Rios and Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, X-Pac, even Jeff Hardy held this championship belt. But, as time wore on, this belt was being featured less and less on main programming. And in 2002, when they got the Cruiserweight title after buying WCW, they would officially unify this into the Cruiserweight title. And that was the end of the Light Heavyweight Championship. Even though it didn't last for too long and it wasn't given its props, we should probably look at the legacy of this championship. Now, did this championship live up to any expectations? No, because they fucked over their own expectations. They didn't give this championship the chance to really shine. They could have made it a centerpiece on Raw in 98, 99 when WCW had the cruiserweights, but they just sort of let it fall to the wayside. The people that have held this belt, there have been some really interesting names that have held this title in this form. Crash Holly comes to mind, S.A. Rios, Scotty 2 Hotty held this, which is pretty cool. Jerry Lynn. I think most people would think of Dean Malenko when they saw this, but for me, my money is Taka. Taka Michinoku is the guy that I associate with this championship belt. And its legacy, it's been appearing in games for a long time now. People can use this in the universe modes. They can use this in whatever they see fit to use it in. And people have they've really come around on this belt. I've seen some good discourse about it, but I've seen some negative discourse about it. Me personally, I've always loved this championship belt, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection of replica titles. I think I should do a collection video on my replica belts because I think those could be cool. But, yeah, one of 2 dream belts have been got. That's cool. I have One of my 2 dream belts. I just need the European title now. Fingers crossed I can get a good deal on that. But yeah, that has been this review of the Light Heavyweight Championship. If you've enjoyed it and this brief little history lesson, give me a like, give me a comment. Give me a dislike. I don't give a fuck. Have a good day. Happy Saturday.